The best monsters often represent real-life fears. Frankenstein's creation personifies anxieties about science running unchecked. And Dracula embodies forbidden sexuality, clearly. With Death Note, Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata have captured imaginations by introducing a unique monster, one who wraps timeless fears about the flimsiness of morality within freshly current trappings. Death Note is named for a notebook that enables its owner to prescribe any person's demise. Myriad rules bind this magic, but generally, one just needs to write out a name and circumstances of death, and voila. Teenager Light Yagami happens upon the book and is fast corrupted by its power, going from a vigilante who only targets criminals to a self-styled god who'll snuff out anyone in his way. His reign of terror attracts followers who worship him as the deity Kira, and a succession of cunning adversaries, chief of which is the mysterious master detective L. With the demonic death god Ryuk as a constant witness, a years-long cat-and-mouse game ensues as Light evades authorities until, spoilers, he makes a mistake that exposes himself as Kira. Before we discuss what that final standoff means, though, let's get back to the beginning. No, not the start of Death Note. Before that, what monsters mean? Boogeyman archetypes endure because the fears they're linked to evolve with the times. The zombie represents a fear of collectivism in any era. In the 60s, that might mean communism. In the 70s, it could apply to consumerism. In many ways, Death Note updates H.G. Wells' horror classic The Invisible Man. The novel follows a scientist who spirals into megalomania after an experiment renders his body translucent, declaring a reign of terror where he may attack anyone at any moment. Wells' book is itself a modernization of the ancient philosopher Plato's parable, The Ring of Gyges, where a lowly shepherd steals a king's throne after finding a ring that turns him invisible. In both works, the same questions are raised. Will a good man remain good if he knows nothing he does, right or wrong, will be seen? Is our morality not innate, but merely a social construct? Contemporary psychology studies have coined a term, the online disinhibition effect. Anyone who spent any time scrolling through a comments section should be well familiar with it. In brief, people are freer from social inhibitions when communicating anonymously, and can act differently behind an avatar than they would in real life. Thus, meek users may feel emboldened to torment others without fear of consequence, because they're effectively invisible. Are trolls a real fear in our times? Well, there are government programs advocating against cyberbullying. Light's power may be wholly fantastical, but his MO is so tied up in online activity, it's accurate to describe Kira as a monster of the internet age. He's not simply the Invisible Man transposed to the 21st century, though. Key details make him his own breed of beast. No meaning to the misery. Light's transformation begins, essentially, out of caprice, and that's a crucial point. Shinigami, aka Death God, like Ryuk, are creatures of Japanese folklore. Roughly translated into Western terms, they're like demons. So his sneaking this awful weapon into Earth from a kind of hell would seem to set up a familiar Faustian tale where an impure spirit tempts an innocent. All the very forbidden-looking apples make this fall from grace subtext rather hard to miss. But while Light does digress from a charismatic popular kid at the top of his class to a ranting, red-eyed maniac, it's stressed that Ryuk doesn't intend to corrupt him. In truth, there's no scheme. Eternity is boring, so he idly drops the Death Note just to see what happens. Ryuk will stick around so long as he's entertained, and rid himself of Light as soon as he's bored again. A sense of casualness characterizes Light in turn. He isn't cursed to be a monster at all times. Kira can exist when Light is alone in his room with a computer and a bag of chips.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
The series revolves around alter egos, but unlike a masked vigilante, this arrogant kid can attack criminals without leaving the comfort of home. Light picks his initial targets by looking up news reports and deciding that he, as a reader, knows better than the courts. He's sure he can tell which criminals got off with lenient sentences and who deserves to be executed. In those early stages, Light's crusade is more of a hobby. He can shrug it off whenever he feels like, exiting to normal suburban life as easily as clicking out of a browser. No consequences follow him because the death note doesn't leave any physical evidence. He also lacks personal motivations. No grudge to settle with society, no loved one killed by a criminal who got away. Light's father is a cop, but cases aren't really keeping him from home. Light has as little skin in the game as a commenter on an article's talkback thread. And perhaps it isn't coincidental that the method of his terror is to literally write nasty little notes. Call him the most nightmarish vision of a troll, then. For even while Light's power remains supernatural, his path keeps tying into mass media. It's his fans that give him the name Kira, and a significant subplot concerns Misa Amane, a copycat who rapidly arcs from unknown admirer to zealous disciple to Light's emotionally abused girlfriend. Once more, the killer with a death note isn't some persecuted outcast. She's one of the beautiful people. There's a brief but telling detail, too, when she gets herself captured by the task force trailing Kira. Her first thought when bound and blindfolded? She's been kidnapped by another stalker. Ohba and Obata show that even a pop idol can still become obsessed and malicious, like any of the fringe fans she's had to evade. Death Note precedes the advent of social media by a few years, but gaffes by many celebrity accounts reiterate the point here that the online disinhibition effect can apply to the successful and unsuccessful alike. What's in a name? Many rules govern the use of the Death Note, but the most important pertain to masks and aliases, specifying that Light can only kill those whose faces and true identities he knows. Since L's real name is a tightly guarded secret, Light can't just kill him like he does other victims. Likewise, even though L figures out that Light is Kira, he can't act on his suspicion without concrete proof linking the person to the persona. The two clash when interacting through media and behind aliases, but cooperate when working together in the same anti-Kira task force in real life. And they pointedly contrast. L is a fidgety shut-in, sleeps in his clothes, leaves his hair unbrushed, and has bizarre table manners. The stereotypical vision of a troll, in short. His being the good guy here affirms, don't judge a book by its cover, least of all a notebook. Light isn't invisible, but Kira is, and a reoccurring visual motif juxtaposes this cheery pretty boy with an abstract view of his true self, a creepy, vampiric villain with glowing red eyes. An entire episode shows how his sociopath duality works. Light spends all of it walking with the wife of a secret agent he killed, laying on charm, earning her trust bit by bit, asking for her real name insistently, but casually. As soon as he gets it, the symbolic view shows the woman walk toward her doom. No witness would notice anything sinister here, but as Misa sings in a cryptic lullaby during the series epilogue, God is watching whatever you do. The Invisible Man is vanquished when a mob gets a hold of him and beats him to death like any regular person. Likewise, when Light is finally outed to the task force pursuing him, he acts like a cornered, scurrying rat and meets a demise utterly ignoble for any self-styled deity. Shot by a subordinate, Light flees, dreaming of his old life. A verbal dressing down from his vanquishers hangs in the air. Kira's career has never been born of sincere desire to help the world. It's only ever been about serving his ego, and the consequences finally touched him.
It's over. You've lost the game.
Light dies on stairs in a warehouse, symbolizing how the Shinigami have damned him to purgatory. Not going to heaven nor hell suits a monster who's only ever been half in. His last moments bookend this saga's themes fittingly. After Ryuk finishes Light off, he leaves Earth just as he entered it, bored with this years-long diversion like it's a browser tab he's now clicking out of himself. What do you think? Or better yet, what are you afraid of? Make sure to let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, do all those awesome things. This is Gamma Ray. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Don't look behind you.